Welcome to the Weaponized Marriage podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Hewitt.
And my name's Ryan Hewitt, the other host.
And it is our first episode of 2026.
Yeah, you excited?
Yeah, let's do like a little recap and then go from there.
Yeah, I can see your new hair growth now.
Stop it.
You look at your baby hairs right there. Yeah.
I was saying I had a scalp treatment and I feel like I have new hair growth. The only downside to it is it's gray.
Gray hair restoration.
Awesome.
Yeah, maybe I should do that. I don't know. As long as it's not just gray hairs. More hairs is good.
Well, I don't think you get to pick. That's like saying, hey, I want to pick if I have a boy or a girl.
Well, and you can do that now.
Well,
designer babies.
Yeah. All right, let's recap. How was our break and go from there.
How was your break? How was your break?
How was our holiday break?
How was your break? How was
you go
break?
First.
I thought our break was I don't feel like it was restful for me. But I do feel like it was a nice break in the monotony of routine, yeah. which I like, but I don't like because getting back in routine is always painful. Mm-hmm. But I like variety. So it was nice to get up to our place in Maine. It was nice to realize our dream of hosting our own family Christmas in our, lake house that we've worked very hard at, adding to our lives. Mm-hmm. So that went really well. And then I feel like we had a good trip to Florida, even though the weather was not the greatest. We were hoping
the weather was the only bummer.
I was hoping to bake myself at least one day.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't, but it was nice to visit with friends and just get into a new environment and just mix it up. I think that the reason I feel like it wasn't as restful is because I don't think we had many days where we did nothing.
Yeah.
But also because I didn't really take a lot of time to review 2025 and recap and work on what I want to do in 2026. I've started, but I'm only halfway through. So that's where I'm at. What about you?
There's no timeline on it.
Well, it's January 6th, so
yeah,
we better get going soon.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to talk about today, too, is just like, I think one of the things, too, is that, well, first off, holiday break, I mean, it was really long for my daughter. It was like she was a little bit sick going into it. So it was like almost like a 3-week break for her, which was challenging at times. But then like we kind of got a break groove and sharing the mental, emotional, and physical load of kids, dogs, family. I think we did a really good job on that. We communicated a lot on like, hey, how can we help each other? And that certainly made the time more, I think, more like it was relaxing for me too. And even though we hosted, which, does add a whole lot of it, I think that it was like focusing on the big picture of, I'm a big picture thinker anyways, so that's not very hard for me, of like all of the moments we created was really helpful and in being my focus.
Good. So let's talk about your vision casting for 2026.
Yeah.
How we do that as a couple.
Yeah. So I think you should kick off by sharing just like even asking patients what you shared with me like before this.
All right. So anybody who's listening to this podcast, you might be one, because you're listening to this, I assume you're listening to it because you want to improve in one fashion or another, probably in your marriage. So already you're probably in the top 5% of people that do this, which I'm always shocked to learn how few people actually not just set New Year's resolutions, but look at the year that is to be or the year that was, and then look at the year ahead and really vision cast the things that you want to experience, the things you want to achieve, the things you want to accomplish, the influence or the impact you want to have, or the areas of growth that you want to experience, whether that's as an individual or a family or a couple. And I tested this the last 2 days. So I probably interacted with, I'd say probably a little under 100 people in the last 2 days. And I asked a lot of them this question. I said, well, Happy New Year. How's your holiday? And, what are some of the things that you're looking to improve in your life in 2026? So I'd say that to some people. I'd ask, like, what are some of your health goals for 2026? Or what are some of the things that are on your wish list for 2026 that you want to, see happen for yourself or your family? And very, very few people had answers. Most people, I would say, would just be like, I don't know, or, I don't know. I haven't thought of that, or much the same. Or some people would talk about like a trip that they had or an anniversary that's coming up. That's like a round number, like my 20th anniversary, my 50th anniversary, which is great. Anyway, so I'm constantly floored by how, people don't look ahead and really focus on growing their life. So if you're one of those people who does want to grow their life, what I wanted to share was some of the things that we found to be successful. And, maybe this will give you some ideas of, how you want to communicate it with your spouse, or how you want to set goals, specifically set goals as a couple.
Yeah. And we didn't used to have a framework for this. We used to kind of just do our own thing. And then I really think this is probably about 3 or 4 years ago where we started using a similar framework, but we didn't share them with each other. And now what we do is we use a framework that's a little bit modified, which we're going to go over now. And then we do share them. So we know what each other is like envisioning. Like, what are some of the things that stand out that we want to make some changes to? What are some things that we are really proud of? What are some of the things that we're looking forward to? And actually, I think that's a really good kickoff. One of the things that I have really been doing with Lily lately is asking her on the way to school, what are you looking forward to today? Because I realized, I was like, man, that's kind of a question I need to start.
Do you get an answer out of her?
Sometimes they're like hilarious and they're not like, but I keep asking because I want it to become a pattern that when we are headed to school, we talk about things that we are excited about.
Yeah.
Especially on the days that are harder, where like it's like, put your shoes on, why is one shoe off, where's your hat, like all this task oriented kind of dialogue that starts happening. And I think asking better questions gives you better answers. So I've been really focusing on that. So that's actually on my family focus. What I call my family focus this year is just really being conscious about the questions I'm using to engage not only you, but Lily.
So you're talking about a framework. So Why don't you talk about the framework?
Yeah. So the framework is first of all, it starts with what we call the reflection, right? So we look back at what we had set for 2025 targets in what we call our balance category. So our marriage, which is also our family life. And that could be family, like direct family, like, or extended family. It's people that you have a
friends and family.
Friends and family. Yeah, it could be even friends. And it's relationships. So we look at the reflection and we look at the what we set for 2025, and then we say, hey, what were some of the highlights of 2025? And what were some of the things that we need to start to look at that just need some shifting, need some what are things that are not working, or what are some of the things that maybe we just aren't serving us at this stage of the game in this category. Mm-hmm. So that's the first step of the framework.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's an important time, as a couple too, to look back at. We're terrible at celebrating. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really a good opportunity for you to look at the year that happened and like celebrate all your wins together.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Whether it was like something you set out to do that you've always wanted to do. Like for us, like the lake house was a big highlight that we've been dreaming about for a decade. I think we took some really great trips together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then some highlights for, Lily's little life too. Like Would you like look at, your children, and also with, like you said, your immediate family, and some like awesome experiences we had with friendships too.
Yeah. And I think that, one of the big things that stood out for me on this review of this year was like how many friendships we've added this year, that I feel like are very authentic. They're congruent. We spent a lot more time with friends this year than we have in the past, which was one of our intentions that we sent from last year after this review is we were like, hey, we realize we don't have a lot of time with people outside of ourselves. I think that happens
when you have young kids too.
Especially like when you're in the weeds, right? Then you add businesses, you add homes, you add assets, you add children, you have all of these things that pull you away from that being a focus. So that was one of our focuses of 2025, was to build some more friendships. And I felt like that was a big win. Like I was able to list several couples that we regularly spend time with, look forward to spending time with, have learned and grown with this last year. So that was part of my reflection.
All right. So after reflection, then what?
The next step is you're going to vision cast, right? So when I say this, first of all, when I teach this part of the framework from a business perspective, I always say like, it's very easy to kind of look, couple months out. It's a little bit more of a skill, I think, to start to vision like, hey, at this time next year, what do I want to see in my life when it comes to my relationships? So you want to look 12 months out, maybe even 18 months. And the big caveat here is you're going to, especially when you start with this, you're going to shortchange yourself. Like you're going to think pretty small. And the goal is to like stretch like a vision that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, because reality is the reason it's going to make you feel uncomfortable now is because the current tools, resources, and identity you have in this stage of the game, as you sit today on January 6th, 2026, it's going to require a very different version of you 12 to 18 months from now, which is why it should be a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. And just as the saying goes, is we typically underestimate what we can accomplish in a year's time, and we overestimate what we can do in a day.
Yeah.
Right. So, don't be afraid to set something that's uncomfortable, like whether it's between, 2x to 10x.
Yeah.
Is usually, I would say.
And the other big caveat on this part of the exercise is that making sure that, again, like I said, this is going to be a skill. It's going to get easier over time to vision cast like this. But it's like, it should be something that gets you really excited, but scares you a little bit. And I'll use the $100,000 example is like, if I made $100,000 this year and I put, hey, I want to bring in 150K, that kind of makes me scared. But if I put down like, hey, I want to make 200,000, double my income, the goal is, or the premise here though, is you cannot get caught up in how that's going to happen.
Not when you set it, no.
Not when you're in the vision casting process. It is legit like a future casting forward without the figuring out how it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It is just like, hey, I feel this intention. This is what I want to put out there, and not figuring it out.
Right. So as a couple then, like, what are some vision casting categories that you would suggest?
Yeah. So like one of the ones that I always said is like how much time off I want to take.
You like time off.
I love this one. And I'll be, one of mine from last year was I wanted to have 2 family vacations, and 2, couples vacations, which we hit this year. Now it has to get even more intense because I have to grow it. Right. So, and that was like a big one. And then there was like, I also think about it, like I'll set a skill for something I want to do more of with Lily. So like my one this year was to get her into a regular routine where she either did dance or gymnastics or something she enjoyed, but I kept her in a regular rhythm of doing it consistently. And it wasn't like haphazard of like, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this.
Right.
So that's an example of like some of the things on my vision casting balance.
So there's obviously you're going to set financial goals together. You're going to set like experience goals together. Yeah. What else? What other things could you do as a couple?
This year we're going to set a savings goal together, right? Because one of the things that happened, like even the last couple of years, is like when we want to buy a property, a lot of times I do all that planning, and we don't do it together. And so that was something that we identified last year, that where I was like in the review part that we were still doing, not consciously, unconsciously, really. And that we wanted to be more conscious of, where we work together to saving for or investing our money, instead of like, I'm like, oh, Ryan, this is a good deal. We should look into this, or we should have put our money here, or what do you think about this? Now it's becoming a conversation instead of me being like, so I put our money here today, like, or we're doing this.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're co-creating together, whether it's like your financial assets, your hard assets, what you're doing as a family, where you're spending your money, how you're making your money, and the more communication we have around all of the dynamics of all that we do together, like the more included we feel together, the more like connected we feel.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a difference. Like this is a really good. What's coming up when you're saying that to me is that like we used to operate very independently, especially when it came to finances. And we started to identify some patterns for me of control, and also patterns that we had of codependency because of our financial independence. And I'm huge on this right now, just really starting to dive into this a lot about how we live in a culture that focuses on hyper independence. And while I think that there are several things that in relationships specifically you need to be independent in, sharing in your approach to mindset and money is one of the things that do need to be connected, because they are one of the things, other than sex, which also does need to be connected, that break up marriages.
Yeah, sex isn't very good doing that independently.
When it's independently. Can be done, but so just really starting to kind of look at like the constructs that we're taught as a culture, and then starting to come and look at like your relationship and be like, listen, this works for us, but do I like this part of our marriage? Do I like that, hey, I just made all the financial decisions? There were some times that I did like that. But then when it got to a point where I was managing so many things without any asking or input, and I just felt very independent from Ryan on that it actually was really affecting our marriage. But we didn't realize it until we started working more cohesively together on it.
So as far as like, I was just on the production side and you were all about like the spending and the saving side.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the more connected you are on those conversations, obviously you're going to be on the same team and rowing the boat in the same direction otherwise. So anyway, so money clearly is very important when it comes to like vision casting together. Right. I think it's important to have like set a vision casting for like what kind of like intimate experiences you want to have together. So whether that's like, it could be like, hey, we want to have like a vacation, just the two of us this year, right? Without the kids. I'm fascinated by how few people actually.
Oh my God, that's mind blowing to me.
Don't make it that a priority. I mean, think about it. If you're not spending time, just you and your spouse together on like separate from the kids and all the chaos of your day to day, like how are you ever like refreshing or renewing your vows together, essentially? Like, how are you ever like authentically connecting with somebody for a longer period of time than just like a couple hours at night and then a little bit on the weekend and between the kids shit?
Yeah.
Like, it's so important. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah. And also too, I think we just talked about this before we started, too, is that like what ends up happening is you get your connection becomes fraught with tasks being needed to be completed at the same time. So it's like, hey, I'm listening to you, but I'm washing the dishes. Hold on, I can't really hear you because the dishwasher like is running or whatever. And even though that's the time you have to quote connect, is it really focused like energy? And that brought me to something that I am working through that I personally just experienced this weekend with the so we did a Zoom couples date, which sounds really odd, with a couple different friends around the world, and on Saturday night. And one of the awesome things about it too was that we did not have our daughter here. So we didn't have to do bedtime. We didn't have to and just the being able to wake up after some connected time with not only friends, but with each other.
With friends?
And then
waking up with friends?
No. Wake up without having to just jump out of bed and start our routine with our daughter. I felt so much more rested. Yeah. So it's so good to have a break of that. And it was like we did a slow get up, and we were able to be connect intimately, and without being oh shit, Lily's coming down the stairs, it's so important. So maybe that's a huge thing, is vision casting. How do you create how can you create more intimacy in your marriage? And I don't mean just physical intimacy, I mean emotional too. And one of the things that I really realized from this weekend was I was saying that a big takeaway for me was Ryan has really healing hands, and he worked on me physically, on some pain I was having. And it was a very different experience because he was able to give me this uninterrupted time where it was not sexual touch. It was more physical touch in a healing way. And I was oh man, I never asked for this. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed it, and it helped me. And I was and it made me put on my vision cast of hey, I want to spend more time where I ask Ryan to work on me, physically. And so it, like I said, it can be something specific like that, or it can be something broader of hey, we need more connected time. Mm-hmm. So that's just something then that after you go reflection, then you go the vision cast, and then you start to do what we call reverse engineer.
Okay. So I'm a big fan of when we reverse engineer that you just start off with, I guess Q1, right? So I like to think of the year in quarters. And then once you've kind of set okay, here's where I want to be after Q1, then you can work it back into monthly. So once a week I get adjusted. What day is that? We'll figure it out. Okay. So it's, Monday at 1:00 before you start team meeting. I'll come in, I'll get adjusted, say hi to the team, pick up any checks from the week before, boom, I'm in and out. So that's how you do it.
Yeah. And I think too, is that this is where I really like to highlight this, discern this, is that I'm a person that I really struggle with routine. I get bored easily. I have a challenge staying consistent.
You're good at the vision. I'm not.
Ryan is the complete opposite.
I'm good at the routine.
Right. But hence why I'm letting him run with how you do the actual reverse engineering. But what I wanted to say here is that even though I've been starting to play with this rewiring of looking at my routines as rhythms instead of routines, which helps me. So like I said, your body, for example, we teach patients that your body likes to heal in a rhythm, right? So when Ryan's getting someone to commit to chiropractic care, he's going to be hey, listen, your body likes to heal in a rhythm. So I like to see you as frequently as possible in a consistent time and day. So it's Tuesday at noon, whatever it is. And there's always room for flexibility, but you committing to a rhythm is really important for your growth and your healing, whether you need one or the other. So that's a really good example. But let's talk about even rhythm when it comes to balance. It might be hey, Q1 is we're really in a really shitty place in our marriage and I don't know where to start. Well, how about we start by asking someone for help? And maybe it is pursuing, what would a therapist look like? Who would we go to? How would we do that? And maybe your quarterly goal is, hey, I want to consult a therapist. and see if my partner would be open to that. And then we're going to do 4 sessions with the therapist by the end of this quarter. So you start breaking down, like I said, that routine into actually a rhythm, and you would get a rhythm. But the first step would be what? Hiring and finding a therapist.
Researching
that person. But also beyond that would be asking your partner, hey, this is a conversation you would have. Is that something you would be open to?
You start small.
Yeah, and start really small and go from there.
Yeah, that's good. Now, did you have anything that you want to cap off on that? So it's reflection, it's vision casting, and then that's reverse engineering.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think the most important part is the part that we didn't do for years, which is sharing it with your partner.
Well, that's the whole conversation, right? So I recommend that you do this individually first, and this is what we do. So we both work on these things individually, and then collectively we come together, and then we talk about our goals, and then, hey, here's what I set for our marriage goal. What do you think about that? Here's what you set. So, and then you might even modify your marriage goals based on after you talk to your partner, because clearly you got to be on the same page with those.
And I want to say too, based on where you are currently at in your marriage, one of the things that we did at the beginning, this wasn't intentional when we first started, but there are a couple goals I put down or targets I put down on my list and balance that I didn't share with Ryan because I was not at a place where I felt like I could share it. And then what was crazy is that we both had that similar goal. Neither one of us shared that. And then it happened. And then I was like, yeah, I had that on my targets. And Ryan was like, really? And so don't feel like you have to share all of these at the same time. It can be something like something that could maybe drive a bigger wedge.
Yeah. Well, maybe start smaller than.
Because anything that's going to drive a bigger wedge is already showing you something that needs to be looked at, but it might not need to be looked at that moment. Because you want to have a good experience where this is fun. This is like you're getting excited about co-creating instead of just coexisting.
Yeah. Or hey, I want to have another baby this year.
Yeah,
and the other partner is not all about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good example.
Yeah.
So
there's always going to be stuff like that. Yeah. I don't think you have to be in total agreement with everything.
Yeah.
But I think that it's nice when you have some targets that you set together.
Yeah.
That you can agree on and work towards together.
Yeah.
What else was I going to say? Oh, and I think the last part of this is write them down.
Yeah. I think that's huge too.
So if you don't write them down and you just talk about them and then never talk about them again, then the chances of you achieving, some of those things are far less great than if you wrote them down, first of all. Second of all, and this is also in, books that talk about goal setting and habits and whatnot, number 1 habit is write it down. Number 2 habit is put it somewhere where you look at it and see it
frequently
every day.
Yeah. And
then the third thing is regularly meet about your progress, right? So whether that's monthly, it doesn't have to be weekly, but whether it's month or even quarterly. So you're regularly meeting and looking at the target and goal with the end in mind.
Yeah. And also too is like that's one of my targets this year is that we do this at the end of the year, but I want to do it mid-year point, right? Around your birthday. I want to really just check in and just be like, hey, are those our vision still? And are we moving towards that? Yeah. And you have that flexibility. You have that flexibility. Just like last year, like I said, we hit our lake house target in mid-summer, right? I still had till January, right? Based on when I set them. So it's then I'm like, ooh, I'm going to adjust this one, or I'm going to change this up a little bit. And you have the grace to do that.
Yeah. So that's all I got to say about that. You have anything else to add?
No, I hope people found it helpful. And like I said, that's the thing is can you have fun with this? Can you start to get excited about working together to create some stuff? And like I said, there's might be things that are more independent stuff. Keep that for a different time. And
that's where you have, you can set personal goals and then you can set goals as a couple together.
Yep. We set them in 4 categories. For us, we set them being, which is our more personal, spiritual goals. Then we set them in business, which is our business and financial goals. Balance, which is our relationships. And then our body, which is our health.
Yeah. It's good. So get after it.
All right.
Wrap it up.
We thank you for listening to the Weaponized Marriage podcast. We will see you next time. If you found this information useful, please do share it with someone that might also feel the same. And as always, please rate, review, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.